Hello friends, and welcome to the first episode of The D-Pad. I'm Annie Mock, author, illustrator, occasional video game maker, critic for Rookie Mag, Zeal, IO9, Offworld, and Polygon. Pardon the sleep in my eyes, I've been up all night scripting and drawing this video because there's a lot going on in video game land. Today we have a lot of news and reviews for you, plus, so let's get started. News. Very sad news to start the show is that Telltale, the studio behind many wonderful point-and-click style games for multi-platform, are closing. The last I checked, they were operating on a skeleton crew of about 20 people for a massive game, and they made my personal favorite, Batman the Telltale series, facing massive layoffs, and very sad news for the talented devs who lost their jobs, though many studios such as Heart Machine are tweeting under the hashtag Telltale Jobs, so hopefully these hardworking and wonderful artisans will get employed ASAP. It also doesn't bode well for the genre, which garnered some recent success in the indie scene with games like Thimbleweed Park, but on the AAA side, the pickings get slimmer and slimmer for these kind of more soulful, quieter games. Outside glimmers of hope for the AAA games like Spider-Man PS4 and some of the kind of sweeter moments that I see emanating from that game, which I haven't gotten a chance to play yet, but I've been watching Game Grumps play through and watching the reviews from the completionist and Beat 'em Ups Wood and all that. Speaking of comic books, we saw our first images of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker in the 2019 upcoming reboot origin story that's tentatively titled Joker, or maybe it's an official title. I didn't see a tentative title on IMDb when I looked. And both Ben Affleck as Batman and Henry Cavill as Superman have left the DCEU, the DC Extended Universe, and that forces kind of a soft reboot upon its producers. Suicide Squad 2 is still going on, Untitled's Harley Quinn solo film is still happening, and along with the 2019 Joker origin story movie with Joaquin Phoenix co-starring Zazie Beetz of the wonderful Domino portrayal in Deadpool 2, and as well as Francis Conroy and Robert De Niro. It's going to be made by Todd Phillips, who made the Hangover trilogy, but hopefully this movie will bring a little much-needed humanity into Zack Snyder's kind of big-budget, slow-motion DCU that we've seen thus far. A little bit more of an indie spirit that might surprise us, like how Heath Ledger surprised us with the role about 10 years ago. And on the indie side of games, September saw Nintendo bring some of the Millennium, game of the Millennium, in my opinion, Undertale, onto the Switch. Now, games can never be the same after Undertale deeply questioned the inherent violence behind most traditional video games, traditional JRPGs, stuff like that. And there's a sparkling soundtrack by lead developer Toby Fox, who made the game with help from animator Temmie Chang, but almost a total solo effort, and an incredibly small crew, a few, I believe, programmers helping out from a Kickstarter that I believe pledged to raise $5,000 and raised about 10 times that, way back a number of years ago before Undertale became the phenomenon that it is today. The physical package from Fangamer, you can see the link below for that physical package, includes a locket, an OST, I believe 1 or 2 hour OST, which is pretty incredible. And there's the optional purchase of a digital art book for $6 or a paperback art book for $20, bringing the package to a whopping $99. Way to milk that $10 to $15 indie game based loosely on an Earthbound Halloween ROM hack. And speaking of which, a Nintendo Direct in September can only mean one thing: Mother 3, right? Never. I'm dangling it in front of you like Reggie. But Nintendo Direct September 18 did bring us many gifts. Luigi's Mansion 3 for the Switch, More footage of Luigi's Mansion for 3DS, the remake, which should be kind of a beautiful little 3D dollhouse of a game. Katamari Damacy remake for Switch. And some beloved Final Fantasy games, including 7, come to the Switch soon. Super Mario Bros. U DX, aka Snooze, but it's filling a January slot, so I guess that will keep Nintendo's stocks soaring for January, whatever. But Yoshi's Crafted World looks cute. Town, working title, is a lovely anime-style, cel-shaded RPG from Pokemon developers Game Freak and Isabelle and Smash. And Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing for Switch. 2019 mainline Animal Crossing game. The whole announcement could have been Animal Crossing for Switch, and I've been over the moon about it, but it wasn't, thankfully. And as far as the footage so far, it's pretty, but it's not especially promising. It looks like the New Leaf and Mario Kart 8 models in a lot of ways, but I kind of hope and yearn for a Breath of the Wild for Animal Crossing. And apparently it's simply called Welcome to Animal Crossing, just like the original on the Nintendo 64 disc drive in Japan, the ill-fated Nintendo 64 DD, and on GameCube in the US. And did you know that I haven't fact-checked this, but I believe you can play more NES games in Animal Crossing GameCube than you can on Nintendo Switch Online. Because Switch Online is a fiasco. $20 a year for personal use, or $34 split between multiple accounts. You can split that among as many as 8 accounts, which makes it really worth it if you can actually do that. You can get that together. With no messaging system whatsoever. And 20 NES games for online play. For one-player games like The Legend of Zelda, you simply get a cursor for online play where you can have the other person point out things, point out secrets. Quite dull, really, as far as that goes. Plus, 3 more per month for the coming months, including Ninja Gaiden, which inspired The Messenger, which is an upcoming review for this channel, as I just got it. And really, I can only say purchase Nintendo Switch Online if you want to do things like play Splatoon 2, play Dark Souls Remastered, play Mario Kart 8 DX, games like this. And unfortunately, as AJ from Fanatics 4 has pointed out, the Animal Crossing 2019 game is pretty much guaranteed to have a large online component. So we're going to need Switch Online for that, almost undoubtedly. Now, the NES games. Oh boy, the NES games. Wow. If you don't have an NES Classic, and you don't want an NES Classic for some reason, then I guess get and enjoy these NES games. It's fun to have them on the Switch. It's fun to have them on the go. I played Super Mario Bros. 3 with a friend in the coffee shop just now. Happened to have my Switch on me. Was a blast. But if you remember these games very fondly, or if they're your first time playing these games, if you're younger and you didn't experience Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Legend of Zelda 1, but the NES Classic is $60. It includes a controller, of course, unlike NES Switch Online, where you have to buy the NES controllers for $60 for 2 of them, and they only work for the NES Online games, which may not even stay on your Switch after you use NES Online. So after NES Online is dead, we will probably not get to keep these games. Seems to be the case. NES Classics, $60. Also includes, on top of the games I mentioned, Castlevania, Mega Man 2, Kirby's Adventure, Super Mario Bros. 2, the one where you throw vegetables, Ducky Ducky Panic, in Japan, if you're nasty. And you you gotta remember the Switch doesn't even have a good D-pad natively. So unless you stretch your thumb on the Pro controller or get a different D-pad, then you're kind of in trouble for some of these platformers a little bit. I mean, you're the really tight platformers, and you can use the stick, but it's not ideal. I mean, as it stands, the 3DS Virtual Console, SNES Classic, and NES Classic are the best tools for legal emulation of Nintendo games. And the true shame about all this is what Nintendo did to online emulation. As others have pointed out, this is what they did. They shut down Emu Paradise and other emulation sites, illegal emulation sites. And if you want to look into the art and business of preserving games, you can look at a game developers conference, GDC Talk. I'll be referencing GDC a lot throughout my videos because they're wonderful talks. But Digital Eclipse's Frank Cifaldi gets into some very interesting stuff. You can see that in the link down below in the description. He is one of the people who really focused on the Mega Man Legacy collections that are coming out and are beautiful. So, the downside is that while Virtual Console is a dead dream on Nintendo Switch, the upside is that individual companies like Capcom are putting out archival collections of their games. So, review time. Let's see how Capcom Beat 'em Ups Bundle is doing for Nintendo Switch. So, it's a $20 collection of 7 2D arcade 2-button brawlers with up to 4 players and online play. And you will need that $20 Switch Online account for that, but there is a 1-week free trial of Switch Online available. With it, you get classics like Final Fight and King of Dragons, Knights of the Round, which is an Arthurian romp, which lets you play as Lancelot and Percival. I would say multiplayer fun couch co-op would be the case, but I tried the couch co-op today, and it didn't work. Couldn't get it to figure out. I mean, maybe we're both idiots, me and my friend, but we really could not figure out how to make the 2-player work on a couple of the games, Final Fight and King of Dragons, or excuse me, Knights of the Round. But at least the multiplayer works online. I mean, it's really kind of heartbreaking, I hate to say, because that's really what I bought it for, but maybe with 2 actual controllers instead of separated Joy-Cons, it will work. The thing is, the single-player campaign lacks depth. These are all 2-button setups, meaning it's just jump and attack, and better beat-em-ups exist, not many, but the collection comes with great artwork. As I'm showing you on screen, you get to see that butt shot and that shot of Poison, trans icon Poison. What a snack she is. And it's such a shame about that couch co-op, because that is the selling point of the game. But Capcom. I mean, everybody loves to complain about Capcom, but they really knock it out of the park in some ways, and then they really fall down in some ways, like how they made the Mega Man Legacy collections half digital and half physical. Really cheaped out in certain ways. Now, finally, our first taste of Dark Souls Remastered has come to the Switch. The network test is up today, Saturday 9/22, and Sunday 9/23 from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. EST. So just download the network test version off the Nintendo News app on your Switch or the eShop, and log on during the appointed times, and you'll be able to test out Dark Souls Remastered for your Switch for free. It's wonderful. It's a demo. I'm not sure if there's going to be a regular demo available. But it comes out October 19th, and my god, what demon magic did Bandai Namco need to do to make it $40 and not $60? But I'm really glad that that's the case. And the game is famously hard, but by that same token, there are multiple Dark Souls Help Me With My Depression videos on YouTube. And the maker's point seemed to be that the goal setting and progress making in this kind of backbreakingly difficult game gave them confidence, which is wonderful. So, I mean, are the two Miyazakis really so different after all? Maybe the Miyazaki of My Neighbor Totoro and the Miyazaki of Dark Souls can come together in making people happy. That's not gonna happen. But, so, plus interviews in the future with game makers and game adjacent figures like game critics and stuff like that. Game makers like Joyce Hatton, Zoe Quinn, and more are going to be featured in future episodes of the show. Ways to support the channel are below, such as some nifty t-shirts on Threadless in my book, Annie Mock Loves Video Games, which you can get a physical copy of for $15 or a digital copy of for $1 on Itch.io. Like, comment, subscribe if you want, and I hope you get to share some video games with some friends today. Alright, thanks friends, bye.